everyone. Welcome back to PopCultX, our special episode 51 year anniversary celebration show. Thank you all so much for spending this past year with us as we talk about all things pop culture, from movies, books, comic books, video games, music, and everything under this umbrella of pop culture with PopCultX. My name is Daniel, and along with me always is
Gabriel.
And we are here, and we're happy you're here. So if you're tuned into this show, you know it's a special show. Like we said, it's our 1 year. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go live on Instagram. So this should be interesting to see who, if anyone, logs in, if anyone asks any questions, because that's what we're opening it up for, to see what kind of questions you guys have. And so you guys can get a little peek behind the curtain of what makes PopCultX. So let's go ahead and activate Instagram. Okay, so now we are live on Instagram, technology aside. So now hopefully you guys are seeing this and it's real time, and we're waiting to see if anyone joins. If not, fine, whatever. We're still going to do what we got to do. So Gabe, what are your hot topics for this week for PopCultX?
So as you already know, and as our listeners already know, I'm obsessed with the Kanye, Kim Kardashian drama saga. It kind of has escalated even more last week, with Kanye sort of lashing out at other people that have been commenting on his situation, particularly Trevor Noah, who is the host of, I think, The Daily Show. And he's been a big supporter of Kanye in the past. He says that he's influenced his life. He loves his music, but that, basically he needs to get help because this isn't, right what's going on. Right. So Kanye West called him some names and went after him. And Trevor is hosting the Grammys. And so the Grammys decided to pull Kanye West as a performer from the Grammy Awards. And he's still nominated, so I don't know if he's not welcome as a guest, but he's no longer going to be performing. If he wins, I think he will get an opportunity to say his piece, which, based off of his prior performances at award shows, I think will be kind of scandalous and good. So that's something to look forward to. We can watch the Grammys with sort of bated breath, seeing if Kanye is going to make a statement about everyone's opinion about him, or if he's going to decide to stay out of it, or if the Grammys aren't going to let him show up at all. So
I don't know, because I did see that report that he was set to perform, like you said, and they yanked him from his performance because of his online behavior, which just shows you that online behavior does have real life consequences. So in a way, I'm kind of glad, because that could have been bad. But
it's all sort of very meta, right? Like it's he uses this as part of his performance. It's sort of like a performance piece for him, his life, like everything he considers as part of his artwork. But I think that where maybe his handlers are failing him is that they kind of have to pull him in a bit and say, okay, in this aspect, maybe don't bring up your children, or maybe don't bring up your marriage or your divorce, because that may have legal or real life consequences. But in his mind, he's seeking, or at least I'm assuming, he's thinking of everything as an artist, as what he's passionate about and what comes directly out of his heart. I'm not a big fan of his, so I'm definitely not defending him. But I think that that's where he's coming from, is that like everything he views is his art, his point of view, his perspective. But it is having a really big impact on his career, I think, and the way people view him. But I did see that we had a comment from Giant Bernard, or Bernie. He says the Kanye documentary on Netflix is super cool. It's a 3-part documentary. I haven't seen it. Have you had a chance to take a look at it?
I saw just a trailer for it. I heard it's good, but I have not seen it. And because I don't know, I'm not a fan of his, so I don't know if I would watch it. Maybe just to broaden my horizon, maybe get a different viewpoint on him, that I should watch it. But no, I have not yet seen it.
So there's something that's interesting, because I recently watched another documentary of Evan Rachel Wood, talking about her being a victim of Marilyn Manson's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
It's very eye opening. It's disturbing. Your heart sort of breaks for her because she went through a lot with her relationship with him. She claims that she was basically groomed by Marilyn Manson at a young age, became a victim of his, and then was finally able to get the strength and determination to leave him. The reason why I bring him up is that Marilyn Manson has sort of had a particular persona with his
Mm-hmm.
public life, right? He
Oh yeah.
is a member of the Church of Satan. He is sort of a nihilist. He's anarchy, anti-fascism, sort of tears down really anything in society that he thinks is hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of been open about like, hey, I'm kind of a bad person, and
That's
he
true.
is hanging out with Kanye West, and I think they're actually producing music together. Kanye West is sort of like famously now doing his Soul Sunday service, like his church on
Mm-hmm.
Sundays, and he mentioned with Kim in his relationship that he doesn't want his daughters to be basically influenced badly by what's going on in TikTok, but he is hanging out with Marilyn Manson, who is basically, according to his accusers, and I believe them, like a serial rapist, a serial abuser, a serial manipulator, someone who is openly a Satanist.
Yeah.
So the company you keep is kind of weird that you're producing and collaborating with someone like Marilyn Manson, but then you don't want your wife to allow your child to be on TikTok. It's sort of weird. It's like sort of the message are a little bit mixed for me. So I think that Kanye is a bit of a hypocrite in that sense that, I feel like he's going to be that kind of father that's like, Kim, you're doing everything wrong. Like, I don't want my daughters involved with this, but like, look at the lifestyle that you're living.
Right.
Look at the example that you're having for your children and for other people's kids. I mean, Kanye West is a huge role model, and
Yeah.
the behavior that he is having towards Kim and putting everything public and really harassing her is really not something that we would want young people to be looking up to and emulating. So
Right.
that's kind of an interesting perspective on it. I think is like he's kind of, I don't know, he's kind of a hypocrite to me. It's like some of the things that he says, I'm not buying.
Well, good. I'm glad you're not, because I'm not either. I'm not alone there.
We have two other comments here. Michelle says, exactly. Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. I agree with
Hmm.
that. And then Bernie says that he thinks Manson's coming out as a Christian, not publicly, or no
Nope.
publicity is bad publicity. So I would be shocked if Marilyn Manson came out as a Christian because that's like everything that I think he is not.
Right.
One of the things in the documentary is that they read an excerpt of his autobiography, and he mentioned, I think, abusing his mom and how he would beat
Wow.
her up and how she would just kind of sit there and take it. That kind of told me all I really needed to know about him. Whether or not
Mm.
he had an abusive childhood, the fact that he would beat his own mother is kind of sick and disgusting. I was a big fan of his music.
That's
Um,
what I was going to ask you right there.
yeah,
Was that's what we talked about last week? Is where's the line where you
yeah.
can you enjoy someone's artwork, and when they cross that line, can you still go back and like it?
No, for me in this instance. So
Hmm.
I am not listening to his music anymore. The people that I do listen to, I don't necessarily think they're saints. All of the other, ripping the Bible pages out or being, sacrilegious things, I could overlook that because I think that's his perspective or what his belief system are, even though it's contradictory to mine. But abusing women and being
Yeah.
extremely misogynistic, like I mean, literally saying like he wanted to bash her head in with like a hammer, um, literally like physically raping and abusing her and drugging her, isn't something that you can. I don't want to be involved with a person like that, even as a consumer of the art that they're putting out.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm sort of done with that.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I never was really a fan of his. I know it was a lot of shock art and
Mhm.
whatnot, and I never really got into that. I mean, I did like his Sweet Dreams cover. That was probably
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah,
But there's the original, so I don't have to worry about hearing his version. So
yeah,
I'm covered there. Um, but yeah, it's I guess as we get older, the things that we used to see that were just like, oh, interesting or shocking, are now like more, play a bigger role of us deciphering who we want to view, or we get to pay more attention to who we want to spend our money on, I guess.
Yeah, and then just a bit of a clarification, because I think Michelle missed my statement about the documentary where they read an excerpt of Marilyn Manson's autobiography. I think it's called Long Hard Road Out of Hell, I believe. And in it, he talks about hitting his mom or abusing his mom and his childhood. I mean, he openly admits that he had created a character that he wanted to be someone who had no feelings, no emotions, and that it even scared him because he knew that that's what he became. Someone that was shut off from feelings and from sympathy or empathy for other people, but that's what he wanted to be. So on the one hand, he was happy for becoming what he wanted, but on the other side, he recognized that like he wasn't that human side of him has sort of died. And Evan, his ex partner, has said like it's clear that he was abused as a child, but that doesn't excuse him for the abuse that he's inflicting on other people. And so it was really interesting. It's really eye opening to kind of see how there are people who groom people to be their victim. And it's really sad that people, the circumstances that people's lives, your childhood, the way your outlook on life is that sometimes people are the perfect victim for them because their life has led them into that place that is going to make them easily susceptible to that sort of abuse.
Yeah, that's sad truth, I guess, to that.
Yeah. The other thing that was kind of a big thing, it's kind of very niche in who would be interested in this news, but I collect superhero toys, like comic books knows that about me. So another YouTuber by the name of Shartimus Prime, he interviewed Todd McFarlane, who's the creator of Spawn. He's a prolific artist. He famously did Spider-Man, Spawn, and he has his own line of toys. He does toys now for DC. So they were interviewing him and they're asking him why he doesn't do more toys of female characters, female superheroes. So he's kind of Wonder Woman, but they're asking like, why wouldn't you do a whole line? So he came up with this elaborate story saying like, well, you have dads that go to the store and want to surprise their son, and they go and get a female action hero and they take it back to the son, and the son's like, what is this? And he's like, well, weren't there any like superhero guys? Well, yeah. Weren't there any aliens? Yeah. Weren't there any cool like monsters? Yeah. And you got me this. And then the thing that really was annoying is that he then said, I don't know when people become serial killers and where you can pinpoint it, but I'm going to guess it's that moment. So he akin a boy getting a female action figure to then becoming a serial killer. And, I wouldn't be offended if he simply said, we've done marketing research.
We've done focus groups and
it shows that the action figures that are men or boys or, fit within that binary, are more popular. We still make female characters, but the reason why we don't do a whole line of them is because they won't sell and we're a business. Okay, I get that. Yeah. They still make them. I buy them. I collect them, not just female, but all superheroes. But the fact that he almost like was like disgusted with the idea that a boy would want a figure that was a woman, or couldn't even understand that a young boy would want one, which we know, now in this day and age, that toys aren't really gender specific, that, girls want action figures, boys can buy dolls, or, kids will not even be defined by boy or girl anymore. They may be non-binary. And so it was sort of disappointing to hear him speak in that sort of outdated language. And he even kept referring to like the boy aisle in the store and like boy action figures. And I was like, where's the boy action figure line? Like, I don't understand. I mean, certainly they have all the action figures together, but they don't call it the boy action figure line. It's like action figures. I think they even just have it by like Marvel and they, or DC, and they do make female action figures that sell. So it's like, I don't know. I was a little disappointed. I mean, he's an older ish man. So hopefully maybe someone will sit down, maybe his children, and will say, hey, Dad, like your line of thinking is a bit outdated. So I'm going to educate you on how you should communicate things. Because there was a really kind of a big within, the group that I follow on Twitter that, collects action figures or comics, the vast majority of fans were really disappointed in his verbiage and his attitude. So it was a little disappointing to see that. So
that's interesting. I mean, for me, the main action figure I see now really is the Funko dolls, and that's like a wide breadth of everything under pop culture: TV show, movies, comic books, and they have everything: man, woman, dog, cat. And so it's interesting for him to say that, knowing that those are out there and how well they do sell.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you see movies like Wonder Woman being really successful. You see that Black Widow, you see Captain Marvel. There is a caveat to that, because there is within the comic book, universe of fandom, there are guys that are like, Captain Marvel is horrible. Like, so all that. So it's sad that he sort of reinforced that misogynistic attitude of like, girls aren't popular, so we're not going to make them. He didn't even get to people of color, so I would hate to hear what he would have to say about superheroes that happen to be Black or Latino or Asian. And so I'm glad he didn't go there, at least. And so, hopefully someone educates him and he can change his opinion on that soon.
Yeah.
And start making more action figures for us nerds to buy.
I mean, yeah, I hope so. I do like Spawn, so I don't know. Hopefully they'll make another Spawn movie soon.
I think they are. I want to say that that's in the works. But speaking of movies, we know that it's going to be the Academy Award season coming, starting. And with that, the sort of the big award is the Academy Awards, or the Oscars.
Right.
And so I thought that we might go through some of the more popular categories and go over like who you think might win or who you think is the best bet. I'm not a gambling man, so I'm not going to bet anyone. So don't try to.
I bet you can bet in Vegas on winners. I'm probably sure you probably can do that. But
I absolutely they can. I've seen that where they go over the odds and people bet on it. So some of these open disclosure, I haven't watched. So I'm just going to give my best guess, my educated guess as to who would win. So let's go ahead and start with actress in a supporting role. I think that's one of the big ones. So we have, let's see, Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog, Dame Judi Dench for Belfast, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, and I'm going to mess up this name, but I believe it's Aoun Janway Ellis for King Richard. Hands down, I think it's going to be Ariana for West Side Story.
Yeah, I agree.
That's an easy one.
If I
were to bet, I would put all my money on Ariana for amazing job she did with that, and I think that's just like a given. So, actor in a supporting role, we have another name. I don't know how to say this. I think it's Irish. Shireen Hines for Belfast, Troy Kotzer for Coda, Jesse Pymans for The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith McPhee for The Power of the Dog. I haven't seen any of those films, but I'm going to hope that J.K. Simmons wins because he's a badass. I love him.
Yeah. I've seen Being the Ricardos, and J.K. Simmons as Fred Mertz. Well, the actor who played Fred Mertz was fantastic in that role. So I would like to see him win because, like I said, he's a badass. Although I think it's probably going to go I'm just going to go J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
We're 2 for 2 in agreement.
It might be the dark horse, but just to remind people of the range that he had, he was in Oz as this like Nazi white Aryan Prisoner, from that to like J. Jonah Jameson for
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
to like the peanut like from the M&Ms. Like he even does a voice for that. So like talk
Really?
about he even can embody chocolate.
There you go.
So I hope he gets it. I like him. He seems like a really cool guy. So in the next big category would be actress in a leading role. Jessica Chastain, Olivia Colman, Penelope Cruz, Nicole Kidman, and Kristen Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big category for me. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of favorites. I really love some of these women. Jessica Chastain, I've been a big fan of. Penelope Cruz is like, I adore. Nicole Kidman, I'm a big fan. And Kristen Stewart, I'm a big fan. But if I had to kind of guess, I'm thinking that maybe Olivia Colman might split the votes between all these popular actresses and might, come in as the winner. I don't even
Mm.
know that. I haven't seen that movie, but if I could get the winner that like I would like to see Penelope Cruz win, just because I love her. She's Spanish. Um, she's adorable. But what do you think?
I think, well, I saw Spencer and I saw The Eyes of Tammy Faye,
Mhm.
which is Kristen Stewart and Jessica Chastain. And my money's on Jessica Chastain. She was phenomenal in that role.
Yeah.
She really transformed. I really forgot that it was the actress. Is like one of the main things I look for when I'm watching a movie. If I forget who the actor or actress is that's in that role, and they embody that character they're playing, and she did that
Yeah.
wonderfully.
And Hollywood loves like a transformation when it comes
Hmm.
to acting. That like you think of Nicole Kidman in The Hours where she had like the nose prosthetic, Charlize Theron where she went from like being the most beautiful woman in the world to
To the
like
in Monster,
monster
yeah,
serial killer.
yeah.
So I think you have a point. I do love Jessica Chastain. I think she's an amazing actress. So we'll see. The next one would be actor in a leading role. Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Will Smith, and Denzel Washington. I think that Denzel Washington might win. I think that he garners the respect of Hollywood. He's
Hmm.
sort of one of the he's like the old guard of Hollywood now. Like he's taken the place or the mantle from like Sidney Poitier or Sir Lawrence Olivier. Like Denzel Washington is like the guy.
Yeah,
So I think that he has. It's I don't necessarily think it's a shoe in, but I think he has the best odds.
yeah. I did like his performance as Macbeth in the Tragedy of Macbeth, and he was great in there. And especially, I liked how people said that he didn't have to do that role, but he really wanted to challenge himself.
Yeah,
And he did. And it was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. But my heart and my money really wants Andrew Garfield to win
yeah.
because his performance as Jonathan Larson was just so phenomenal. And maybe because I really liked the story of it, and I really feel more attached to that than a Shakespearean play. But it's just I really want Andrew Garfield to win. I think it's his time, his moment, and it's just that's what I'm hoping for.
It's been a good year for Andrew because he
Yeah.
reprised the role of Spider-Man, and I think he almost stole the spotlight with his like redeeming moment where he
Hmm.
rescues
Saves.
MJ,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
so it might be his year. So we'll
He
see.
was
So,
also in The Eyes of Tammy Faye too. So
oh,
as
was
Jim
he?
Baker. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. So good year for
So
Andrew.
Best Picture. There's a couple big films that are
Let's save Best
nominated.
Picture for last. Do you
Okay.
have the best songs?
Songs. Yeah. So best songs are "Be Alive" from King Richard.
The Beyonce song, right?
I don't know. I haven't heard it. So Dos Oruguitas from Encanto, Down to Joy, No Time to Die from No Time to Die, and Somehow You Do for Good Days. I've literally only heard one of those songs from Encanto. So like Encanto is like such a big moment this year that like I'll be shocked if they don't win. I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised that it was this song that they nominated, but I think that it's gonna go to Encanto.
Yeah, Lin Manuel Miranda hopefully will get his EGOT right, so he'll
Yeah.
win his Oscar. And it was, I guess, when they put in what songs they wanted to be nominated for it. They chose this one and I think one other song from Encanto, and they left off. We don't talk about Bruno because they didn't think it was going to be that much of a success that it is. So but the song Dos Obraguitas is a beautiful song, and it really encapsulates the movie and what it's about, and I think it should win, and I agree with you, hands down.
Yep. Sweet. So those are like my favorite awards. Like the other thing that I really like is costume design. Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story. I would have to say Cruella because it brought some really cool like avant-garde fashion. There was like some really cool moments in Cruella where she's like unrolling her dress and it's like a spectacle. So
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't really go to like the fashion versus like things that are like really like science fiction. So I think maybe like Dune might win, but I'm hoping that Cruella wins. The other big award is we were talking about Encanto. It is nominated for an animated feature with Flea, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines, and Raya the Last Dragon. I really like The Mitchells versus the Machines as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
But Encanto's going to win.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Flea is an interesting story. If you don't know what it's about the gentleman's escape. I haven't watched it yet, but it's like a animated documentary almost in a way, and it's interesting. It might be the dark horse for that, but I'm hoping for Encanto. But Mitchell versus the Machine was really good. Luca was really good. Yeah. I also enjoyed Raya and the Last Dragon. That was also. So that's a tough one.
Any of the other ones, with the exception of Encanto and the Mitchells versus the Machines. So I'm like 50-50. Oh, no, I wouldn't say 50-50. I'm like 90 Encanto, Mitchells versus Machines. And then, so speaking of, favorite movies, Best Picture would be West Side Story, Power of the Dog, Nightmare Alley, Licorice Pizza, King Richard, Dune, Drive My Car, Don't Look Up, Coda, and Belfast. I think that it's probably going to go to The Power of the Dog.
Interesting. Okay. I want to say Coda, just because that seems to be winning all the other awards.
Is it? Oh.
For Best Picture, but I can't rule out West Side Story. I haven't seen many of the other movies yet, and I saw Don't Look Up. I need to go watch Belfast. I really want to see that. And Coda, I still have to go watch. But what's interesting is if Coda or The Power of the Dog win, it'll be the first time a streaming platform, Netflix or Apple TV Plus, has produced the Best Picture. So that'll be interesting, and could be a shift to how movies are becoming more prevalent with the streaming platforms. So interesting to see more talent maybe go there, more money being spent from those platforms. So I'm very curious for that. Do you have the best directors?
Yeah, so I actually was looking at that. Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. I can't say his first name, but or her name. Hamaguchi is the last name. Drive My Car. Paul Thomas Anderson, Licorice Pizza. Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg, West Side Story. I'm going to be really petty because I didn't like the speech that she made. Jane Campion, she had something super shady about Venus and Serena Williams, which was so unnecessary. She almost immediately realized the crap that came out of her mouth and apologized for it. But it was so out of left field, and so like, real what you're coming from like, you're a filmmaker, but whatever. Like, if you're gonna come after someone, go after like Mel Gibson or Kevin Costner, because
right.
I hate them. But I think that Paul Thomas Anderson has a really good chance with Licorice Pizza, and then of course Steven Spielberg is Hollywood, like he's So I think he did do a really good job with the West Side Story, so I wouldn't be upset or mad about it. But I also am a really big fan of Paul Thomas Anderson, going back to like Boogie Nights and Magnolia. I think he's a great film. He's like his movies are very strong, character-driven plots, and like the story is just very immersive. Like I get really involved with the characters, so I really enjoy his films. and the way he directs, I think I'm just a fan of his. So hopefully he gets it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would like PTA to win.
Yeah.
Do you think, based upon whether it's original material or reboots, that get more weight?
Um, I don't know, because you have movies like A Star Is Born, which has what, like five or
Yeah.
four iterations, and so I don't necessarily think that originality, like when it comes to stories, so like Gone with the Wind is based off of a book, and
Hmm.
that's like considered one of the best movies of like all time. Like I disagree, but whatever. Uh, and so Godfather is based on a book. So like I think it does. I think that you have like original screenplay, then you have like adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
But as far as when it comes to Best Picture, I think that it's like all of those things brought together, like acting, plot,
Yeah.
screenplay,
Hmm.
music, everything. Like just what all the pieces that came together to make a really memorable film. And so I don't necessarily think that there's points that are deducted from for originality.
Okay.
But so I think that West Side Story has a good shot.
Yeah.
But there's some really good films that are also nominated. So we'll have to see.
Well, speaking of West Side Story, and this got me a little angry or frustrated at the Academy Awards
Yeah.
because they failed to invite the star or the leading actress of the movie, Rachel Ziegler, to the Oscar award show. How
Yeah.
does that happen? So it's up for 7 awards. Imagine it wins Best Picture. Everyone goes up on stage to accept it, and we don't see Rachel Ziegler up there, who's the main lead actress.
Yeah.
And it's just, I want to say that maybe they've corrected that. I saw some report that came out, I think today, by the Hollywood Reporter, that she's now been invited to present, but I don't know
So
if that's true or not because they haven't confirmed it.
yeah, I've heard a little bit of gossip in regards to this, and so she's not nominated. So
Right?
normally your nomination is like your ticket in, right? It's
Yeah,
like a
of
given,
course.
you're going to go. So when I first heard about it, I'm like, okay, well, she wasn't nominated, but then I thought she's the lead. Without her and without her performance, this movie could be
Right.
completely different. Like if they would have cast, Kristen Stewart in the role, like it could have been a disaster, right? And so some credit should be given to her that she was able to do such a great job. I think this is like one of her first films, or like one
Hmm.
of like
Hmm.
if not her first film, like one of her
Yeah.
first films. So I was a little shocked by that, and then I got angry. But then I heard that she's actually in England right now, working for Disney with the live action version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which I was like, oh wow. First of all, I was like, wait, they're making a live action. Then I'm like, oh wait, they casted a Latina, woman to play the lead, so that's really cool. So I'm happy about that. And so I think that it might have been a little bit of Disney pulling some strings. Like we don't want to pull her from production to
Hmm.
go attend an award show that she's not even up for. But they fixed it by rearranging the shooting schedule for Snow White. They're going to fly her in from
Oh,
England,
cool. Okay.
and she's going to be a presenter. So kind of cool. I think that uh, I don't think it's like a horrible travesty. Like initially, I was like, okay, this is kind of a big oversight by the Academy to not invite her. But I'm like, okay, all the people that they have invited, all their guests, all like, I mean, there's a ton of categories. For every category, there has to be like some things like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 people. There's a lot of people that have to fit in this
Yeah,
film.
true.
So like, whatever. And it is a catalyst to her career, and it appears that she's going to be a big star because she did such a great job in it. Didn't get
Hmm.
nominated for an award, but she's definitely getting the recognition and the work from this film. So I'm not super mad about it now that she's gonna have some more exposure, and I'm really happy that she's getting another gig because we know that those are few and far between for Latinx actors and actresses. So I'm glad to see that Disney is doing something right by casting Latina in a lead role. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
right on.
Yeah. Disney's
I
not
also,
doing the greatest right now. So
yeah.
at least he got something right.
Did you hear? I think today there was like a walkout from
Yeah.
Disney employees, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that it really is important for employees to come together,
Mm-hmm.
in some organ, in some ways, whether it be like a union or show solidarity when it comes to this big corporation
Yeah.
not supporting the employees. And so there's, people who are actually part of the LGBT community that are impacted by Florida policy, which Disney was, inadvertently, I guess, or purposefully supporting. And then you also have the allies that are like, no, like I support
Mm-hmm.
my team. Like, and what's, interesting about it is that Disney is sort of known for having a really great work culture, at
Right.
least from a public perspective. So I'm glad to have seen that there was so much support for the LGBT community and those that are part of that within the Disney and the umbrella. I mean, there were people from like Marvel that are like editors, artists
Mm-hmm.
who are walking out as well. So it's not just like Mickey Mouse and like Disney. It's the big
The
umbrella.
whole,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's a lot of people. I mean, it's they own everything now, so it's a lot.
They do.
And I
They
think
really do.
they released a statement saying that they now do not support the legislation in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's like yet to be determined whether it's like too little, too late. I think that I don't know if there'll be a leadership change within Disney. I think that there definitely needs to be like a come to Jesus meeting and get some people to open up their eyes to the realities of which they're operating on. They can't like secretly be giving money to things that are anti-humanitarian, that are anti-civil rights. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just supporting both sides of the aisle, conservative or liberal. Like, no, one group is literally like prohibiting people from like expressing their identity, and that shouldn't be partisan. That shouldn't be
Right.
conservative, liberal. That's like a human right issue. So
Right.
hopefully they have their moment of awakening and start acting right.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'm petty and I will start to boycott and stop buying stuff. I mean, it's going to be hard because they own everything. So I don't know. I'll have to like sit in the dark and like read old books, which actually I would really love to be able to catch up on my books. I'm so behind right now. So but that actually might not be a bad thing.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good time for us to go ahead and end our Instagram live.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining in. We appreciate it. And we will make sure you watch the next episode. And yeah, let's say goodbye to everyone. So that was really cool, doing Instagram Live. Maybe we'll do that more often as we go forward with PopCultX into our second year of existence. As we're going forward, we made our Oscar predictions. What do you predict for PopCultX? What do you want to see? What's your, what, shake the crystal ball for us. What do you see coming up?
Yeah, I see more interaction with our audience, with people that are participating within the community. So I would love to see more partnerships with other creators, whether that be comic book artists, writers, performers. I really, really am thankful to the people who joined us within this past year, actors, writers, directors.
Mm-hmm.
We were really, really fortunate to have such talented people to join us on our little podcast that talks about pop culture. So I really foresee us really kind of diving more into that and getting into some more interviews. Like I said, more interaction with the community. So possibly more Instagram Live. Definitely being able to be more involved with our comments and questions and having more guests. So fingers crossed, that's where we're headed in this upcoming future.
Right, I agree with you. I think that's where we're heading. We're going to be doing more interaction with you all out there. We're going to be, a little more open, a little more. We want the feedback. We want the conversation. We want the two-way street here, and especially when we bring in, hopefully, some more talented individuals to share their stories with us. More comedians, more actors, artists, writers, directors, whatnot. The whole breadth. We're coming for you guys, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also very grateful to everyone who's spent their time listening to us, watching us here on YouTube, or commenting on, sharing, telling us what they enjoy, and all the guests that we've already had who've spent their hour or so with us and telling us their story. We're really appreciative of that, and I really do look forward to more of that. And I think that's all I have for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our expression of gratitude to everyone, I think that with that, we'll say see you next time. So stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.